Thanks, Matthew. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sean. This is my third workshop. In this presentation, I'm going to talk about research topic, problem, methodology, and the solutions. My research title is Water Transport Urbanism in Auckland. My research questions are how can transport infrastructure determine the future growth of Auckland, and how can Auckland become the least congested city through enhancement of water transport infrastructure. This project will be aiming to gain knowledge about Auckland infrastructure network, to gain understanding about future growth of Auckland, to find out relevant precedents, to develop a methodology using network analysis, to analyze the coverage of transport, to design a speculative water transport technology for Auckland Gulf, to design a new transport network plan for the site. Let's have a look at the reasons behind why this research is necessary. Auckland is located in North Island of New Zealand. This is the most populous urban area in the country. It has population of 1.4 million, which is 31% of the total population of the nation, and it contains more water than the land, and this is one of the most livable cities in the world. This picture shows some transport pattern of Auckland. And secondly, let's have a look at the reasons behind why transport infrastructure development is important in Auckland. Auckland has been ranked the 10th most livable city in the world. The Economist Intelligence Unit has released its report on 140 cities. For the 5th time in a row, Auckland became top 10 in 2014. Auckland scored perfect 100 for education, 97 for environment, 95.7 for healthcare, but only scored 92.7 for infrastructure. Due to this reason, Auckland is behind 9 other cities. And the second reason is traffic congestion. In a survey published in 2014, over 138 cities in 6 continents, the vehicle navigation firm TomTom has found Auckland to be the 22nd most congested city in the world. A driver faces 89 hours of delay who drives 30 minutes a day. 89 hours of delay every year who drives 30 minutes to go to work or come back from the work. And the third reason is poor transport network in many rural and coastal areas. And the fourth reason is Auckland Transport Plan. Page number 42 indicates that the future role of ferry services within the new network is in need of further review. So I have found some methodology to sort this problem out. My methodology is at this stage: literature review of different theoretical views, case studies of relevant precedents, stakeholders' current and proposed plan review, site selection of the potential site, and design of the site and reflection. Transport also can be studied in a network viewpoint. Before look at the Auckland current transport pattern, if you look at some network theory, it's easy to understand Auckland transport in a network viewpoint. This is the structural component of transport network. Feeder, hub, gateway, and corridor are part of the structural component beyond the nodes and edges. Basic network has nodes and edges at the same time. Transport functioning as a network. As shown in the image, the terminal and station will be acting as the nodes at the same time. Roads and routes will be acting as the edges. At the same time, transport random and scale-free network are quite popular in transport. Random and scale-free network will be utilized when transport in complex network. Random networks mean a fixed number of nodes connected by a random edges, and when they involve with more edges and nodes, it's time for small to larger, which is called scale-free network. And there are 3 general network models, such as centralized, decentralized, and distributed network. Centralized network control the power of every individual unit. Unlike centralized system, decentralized system distribute the power for the many units. And the distributed network has no center point. It doesn't depend on a center, which is the major plus point of this network. Now it's easy to look at Auckland transport in a network viewpoint because we already look at some theories. These are the places where all the nodes and edges are located under current and proposed 2018 and 25 transport network. Bus network takes leading role in Auckland public transport. It has formed with 13 major interchanges, 24 intermediate interchanges, and there are many minor interchanges. And the second biggest public transport system in Auckland is train. It has formed with 48 train stations all over the Auckland. In particular, it has formed with 16 train stations from Papakura to Britomart. And the third and least public transport system in Auckland are ferry. There are 3 ferry terminals in CBD area, and some other stations are located, terminals are located in North Shore and Manuka city. Also, under the new network, there are many terminals are located even without single connector network, example Bayswater and the Stanley Bay. Ferry transport development or water transport development is the priority than the other transport development. There are many reasons behind it. First of all, Auckland is linear city surrounded by water. It contains more water than the land, so creating more nodes through the water transport is practical and appropriate. Also, Duani says trying to cure traffic congestion by adding more motorway is like trying to cure your obesity by loosening your belt. And the second reason is booming demand of future ferry services. For example, Half Moon Bay and Devonport ferry terminals. The third reason is there are many cities are successful in water transport in the world. Therefore, I have been looking at how water transport has been handled around the world. Good examples are Sydney, Australia, San Francisco, USA, Vancouver, Canada. These places have many similar conditions like Auckland, and these have grown up through the water transport infrastructure. In particular, Sydney. Sydney is the main business city of Australia. Only practical way to travel around CBD area is ferry. Therefore, ferries are carrying 14.7 million passengers every year. The successful water transport drive healthy urbanism as well. Let's have a look at my design method. My design method will adopt many network models and theories. Also, it will take into the consideration of existing ferry and other transport network, potential site for the new ferry terminal and residential zone, EVs and stakeholders proposed plan. And my design going to be under the 2 zones such as inner circle and outer circle. Places that are that have direct land connection with CBD area going to be under the inner circle. Places that are separated by water going to be under the outer circle. As I mentioned earlier, when smaller network need to be expanded as a larger network, scale-free network will be utilized. Therefore, scale-free network is the tool for inner circle. And outer circle only going to be focusing on connecting new ferry node with existing ferry nodes. Therefore, centralized network is the tool for outer circle network. When our network gets wider through the water transport infrastructure, equilibrium will be created in most cases. Equilibrium means more route options for passengers. The travel distance could be different, but travel time would be the same. As shown in the image, link 1 and link 2 will take passenger from node O to node D. At the same time, when passengers see free flow on route 2 and traffic on route 1, passengers option going to be route 2 even if it is long distance, because end of the day travel time going to be the same. And my site selection has been finalized after analyzing many things, including the general and special requirement for ferry terminal and the stakeholders' current and proposed plan. Browns Bay is my site. This is one of the suggested ferry terminal location by Auckland Transport and Auckland Council. This is located in North Shore and it's close to Albany as well. It has all the potential to grow as the biggest city through the transport enhancement. This is the aerial map of Browns Bay, and site analysis of Browns Bay has been done under 3 categories, such as abiotic, planning, and social categories. Under the abiotic category, coastal inundation, hydrological catchment, elevation have been identified. Under the planning categories, road, bus network, historic heritage, and unitary plan have been identified. Under the social categories, house, family type, and industries have been identified. After analyzing these 3 categories, it was able to understand many facts about Auckland. In particular, after analyzing abiotic and planning category, it was able to understand that there's no major or exceptional challenges for this project. Also, there's a nice and flat surface available for a ferry terminal development. As I mentioned earlier, there are many general and special categories for the requirements for the ferry terminal. In particular, ferry terminals should have sufficient space for making a ferry terminal safe, functional, and operative. And the second requirement is water deeper channel. Under the Marina Code AS 3962, the 2.1 meter deeper channels required for 10.5 meter smaller ferries, 2.6 meter deeper channel required for 14 meter medium ferries, and 3.2 meter channel required for 20 meter larger ferries. Browns Bay has suitable condition, suitable deeper channel for ferry terminal development, which is the major plus point of this site. 2 tracks of 2 to 10 meter deeper channel have been identified. The identified channel is the minimum depth of the sea at all the time. Because zero value of sea contour and zero value of land contour are different. As shown in the image, zero value of sea contour and zero value of land contour start from different point. Therefore, the identified track is minimum depth of the sea at all the time. New transport design has been done, accompanied by new zoning map. This image shows that how a new transport create a new transport network. As shown in the image, the Browns Bay network, Browns Bay ferry terminal can have direct and 24 hours services and frequency services with Auckland CBD area. At the same time, Great Belly Island, Gulf Harbour, Rakino Island, Waiheke Island, Pine Harbour, and Half Moon Bay will be connected. Inner circle will control the passengers' mobility of outer circle as well. In terms of Browns Bay, the beach road will cover the north side, network of the north side, and as well as part of the network of the south side. At the same time, Glencoe Road will have indirect connection with East Coast Road, and Khalid Road will cover the west side of the network. When inner circle and outer circle are connected together, a strong and reliable network will be created. Therefore, it is necessary to look at a new zoning plan to see what kind of changes could happen in the urban pattern of Browns Bay. Ferry wharf, mixed housing, mixed use, community building, public open spaces, bus station, roads, single house, terrace housing, and town center have been designed. While designing this zone, landscape features, hydrological catchment, current and proposed plan have been taken under the consideration. Also, this zoning will be aiming to create a city while maintaining what already makes this place special. In particular, green spaces and parks, for example, a beachfront lane park and landscaping design. Also, this beach area have been covered by landscaping element which can create a sustainable blue-green urbanism. And surroundings going to be single housing with maximum height of 8 meter. And this is the town center with maximum height of 40 meter. The surrounding going to be mixed use, which is 24 meters of maximum height. And this area going to be terrace housing, which is a high density area of Browns Bay. And the slope area and the area has less influence with town center going to be under the mixed housing zone. At the same time, under the unitary plan, these areas has been allocated for single housing, and some slope area have been allocated for mixed housing. At the same time, this bus station will be the main feeder for the ferry terminal. Also, capacity of this bus station can be extended in the future as its surrounding has suitable condition for the land development. Also, the passengers easily can walk to the ferry terminal and town center because it's a nice and flat area. And there are many direct and indirect benefits behind this project. One of the least congested city and water transport urbanism are the direct benefits. And beach lifestyle, easy transport access and affordable housing would be indirect benefits. I would like to explain about the next step of this project because I have another 6 months to submit my thesis. Before submit my thesis, I would like to compare and contrast my zoning with Auckland Council plan. We'll make and then we'll make a mass model to illustrate the spatial quality to the zoning or proposal plan. And then I will make a conclusion to apply this technology to other parts of Auckland as well. Thank you.
Okay, who'd like to lead off?
I've got a few questions. Thank you. It's a very clear presentation. You've done a huge amount of work to ground the project, and it's really impressive to see that. And it's a really compelling focus, the idea of water urbanism and a transport network via water just makes so much sense, obviously, for Auckland. I'm interested in your research questions, and particularly, how can a transport infrastructure determine the future growth of Auckland? And I just wonder if you could speak to that a little bit more. How can it determine?
Yeah, the thing is, last 40 years, road determines the urban pattern of Auckland. Even Auckland Council plan says that last 40 years it's happening. So the thing is, wherever roads going, the urban growth is happening, and the people, the urban sprawl happening because the transport network is not wider. It's in a narrow space. If you look at this place, all the major interchanges are located in this place. Wherever major interchanges are located, the places have grown up. The rest of the place, low dense area and the urban sprawl happening here. So when network gets wider, the people will start moving over there, and affordable housing would be there. If you can travel like by 20 minutes to CBD area, most of the people, they don't want to stay in the high density area. They will go and stay in a beach lifestyle, and they will come and go to work or whatever. No? Yeah.
So you think that the water infrastructure, the transport infrastructure can be a determinant of urban form, really?
Yeah. Because the thing is, in terms of Auckland is a linear city surrounded by water. So it's easy to create water transport. If you look at San Francisco or some other areas, or what I have mentioned before, they have grown up like that because they have coastal area around. So when you add more nodes, otherwise if you create like more motorway or something, more roads, more driving, and more urban sprawl you create. So if you create more water transport, then you will create a sustainable and more walkable communities.
So you make a kind of urbanism that's kind of attached to the coast that becomes sort of densifies along the coast edge.
Even for example, if you look at the in terms of Browns Bay, if you look at this area, the people can easily walk, and more sustainable community you will create. But the thing is, if you create more roads, again urban sprawl, more building, and it's going to happen the same. No one gonna move around, because when urban sprawl and traffic congestion happening in this area, no one can come from outside. You have to come from outside, and struck again same scenario. You will you have to get ready for the work 3 hours or 4 hours before. And if it is water transfer, you can easily come here.
I think you've got a really great variety of very careful analytical drawings. It could be really useful for the project in terms of your question to do a drawing that's a kind of radicalising and a sort of very future focused scenario drawing. that captures that concept, that can speak to the idea of how, at its most radical, this water transport system can create this water urbanism, can create this sort of densified edge, and then that kind of that image will really help to speak to what's potentially a really radical concept that's underlying this project. Yeah, really interesting. Thank you.
I think you should write for the Auckland Transport blog. I think you'd be very good on that side. Sean, look, that was an amazing presentation. I thought it was really good. I thought your theoretical knowledge was fantastic, and how you explained that was really solid. And exploring that idea of the coastal city, I think, is really amazing. It takes me back to from what I've read, what Auckland used to be like in about the 1920s or so, with ferries going out to St Heliers, and that's how our nodes developed. Or we had nodes, of course, along tram lines. We similarly had nodes along ferry points. And I think as in the post-war period, we got lost in a motorway inland kind of view. So it's really exciting to explore the idea of turning back to a coastal city. I really like how you focus part of your examination on kind of the nodes and edges thing. And interested in exploring with you a bit more the idea of nodes and what that means. I liked how you also looked at the bus link idea through Browns Bay, and how that would link through to the local populace. Because of course that's been something that you'll be aware of. Auckland Transport is revisiting a lot currently. You probably heard the name Jarrett Walker, who's been coming out, Canadian guy I think he might be. He's been coming out here and proposing great new things for Auckland's bus network to support its train and ferry network, which is very exciting. I guess what I'm interested in is exploring with you. I think you had a great theoretical basis, and then pulling it through to a macro level. One of the challenges we face is then how this feels to be in the community. And you've chosen a really great and challenging site in a way, but beautiful site. You know, Browns Bay with its topography and all those bays, the North Shore with the valleys leading down to a view. And the communities over there really value their individuality, their own sense of community. One of the challenging things in there is its density, of course, and when you have a node, of course, you want density. It's a great thing to have. In the town centre, I didn't quite catch you. Were you proposing, I think, reasonably substantial height within the town centre base itself? Or what was the height you were proposing there?
40 metres,
40
maximum.
I guess, and here's where it may be interesting to explore at a further level of detail. I completely support. I'm quite a height advocate. Which can be quite challenging. But one of the things that we always need to ground ourselves in is how the acceptability of that, both from a community perspective, from people, the whole NIMBY thing, not in my backyard, but also from a more pragmatic, professional perspective as to how does that height fit in that landscape in a visual landscape sense, in terms of what the communities value. Do you have any thoughts on that?
The thing is, as I mentioned earlier, while creating this plan, we're gonna just maintain whatever already makes this place special. In particular, we're going to maintain all the green spaces. But when you see a urban pattern with green landscaping elements, it's gonna be wonderful. In your point of view, that's right. The green spaces and whatever is a sustainable thing. We really need that. But the thing is, the Auckland is growing, million people are arriving. So it's not your fault, it's not my fault. But the thing is, it's a fact. So Auckland going to grow up. So we have to, anyway, we should be able to accommodate more people or something. So we have to think like sustainable plus more accommodation, or something. The more challenging urban design, like with green elements, with the green spaces, you have to create a urban design. Therefore, only this area. It's a smaller place, This is just behind the beachfront lane. It's gonna be cafe and restaurant still gonna be remain, and the thing is, rest of this area going to be like town center.
So
So
I guess, Matt, is that president of Kanfatharan and what's the new one where the towers are going the next bay along?
Oh, gosh, I'm not sure actually.
Around the supermarket, they're going to be building some apartment towers, but as you say, there's controversy about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So maybe Shan should name check those.
Yeah. And also, like, as you're responding to us now, just exploring that idea of amenity, which a node should all be about. I mean, the classic example, of course, in Auckland is Britain Martin, the amazing success that's turned into recently, and what a transport node can be. So it's great that you're exploring.
Yeah, and also I'm going to make a massing model again. So I will consider about this idea as well, like how big the town center could be or something like that.
Yeah.
Shan, sorry for it. I'm his supervisor. You should know what is the maximum height according to the Auckland plan.
Auckland plan, I think is
In Browns Bay.
32 or something.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, 32.5 they indicate.
No, that's good to know. I'm surprised about that.
It's probably
32.
contested.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, that's probably some ground take.
But also under the unitary plan, they allocate all the slope area for the single housing. But in terms of this plan, we just want to maintain the topography, a good-looking topography. Therefore, the surrounding is going to be the single housing area, the next to the hostel area. We avoid like high building structure or something.
Great.
Well, thank you for that. I think it was a very thorough presentation. Just some general comments on the way you presented. Probably next time you need to slow down a bit because you were speeding up all the way through. By the time we're trying to nail one idea, we're already going to the next one. Well, I absolutely agree with Amanda and Matt in most of their comments. One of the things that I would be potentially interested on is that you start really exploring those ideas. What do they mean in design-wise? Because we're working in a very big scale. I think it's time for you to really narrow it down and start testing those ideas and see what does it mean spatially, what you are trying to implement. One thing that I'm also quite interested on is you talked a lot about water infrastructure. I think there is more other types of infrastructures that you need to bring on board, and in a moment you go to Browns Bay and start testing those ideas. I think it's quite important for you to explore the local ecologies, the local ecosystem services, how that ties together in a bigger picture in order to make that more sustainable approach, because at the moment it comes across as one-sided, and I think you don't want to go down that way. Another thing would be exploring all that edge conditions that you really explore very briefly, just showing through the section how will be the sea and land relation and how that connects as well, because I think it's going to be an important thing for what you're trying to accomplish. I think overall it was quite appealing. I think that you ticked all the boxes in terms of analysis and problem, and the argument was all there. I think that now you should probably slow down on that side and go to design and really test those. Find the design criteria, test those ideas. Do design iterations and try to conclude something out of that. Then go back to the bigger picture and see, so what did I learn from that? How that connects with the original plan. There is something that I need to change. Might probably be as well testing those ideas elsewhere in other sites.
It might be useful. I can think of. I went to Brisbane some time back, and that's obviously not a coastal city and a kind of harbour city. It's a river city, but that has an amazing kind of ferry network going up its river, and how it's probably choosing a node of a similar scale rather than a Vancouver downtown or whatever it might be, but like a what is a town or a local centre that's of similar scale to test it against.
I think apart from that was very interesting. Congratulations.
It might be useful as well to consider the new Auckland Council GIS layers that have been added recently, which are coastal inundation due to sea level rise and things like that. As a map to overlay on this talking about intensification of these little valleys, finding out 1 metre, 2 metre, 5 metres, where are those critical levels that potentially could be disrupted.
Yeah,
I think-
it's
I think he can
key.
answer.
Yeah, I have done the coastal inundation
Oh,
under
okay.
the site analysis.
Right.
Yeah, this is
Oh,
the coastal
wow.
inundation.
Yeah, because
That
it feels
sounds
like
very
that
bright
there's
future.
it could be a really good drawing.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
speaking
that-
from Bruno's thought that you do a section that goes
Yeah.
from sea level up. And because it feels like the North Shore has this kind of elevated kind of plateau, which then goes down to the sea. And you could really argue for this kind of coastal urbanism that actually the density in the high rise occurs up on the plateau, and it's actually that sloping down to sea level is much more. If I was in charge, I'd create a real kind of green blue zone, which is a buffer zone.
Yeah.
And then that's a radical vision,
Is
which
it-
is
so it's
also
a ret-
linked to.
Yeah.
So it's kind of almost retreating.
Absolutely,
It's actually a strategy.
absolutely.
Yeah. I think you need to
Yeah.
speculate a lot on all those scenarios. You know,
Yeah.
like how are you going to tackle all of those issues and mitigate risks? You know, there is flooding. You know, how are you going to deal with that? How your water infrastructure will cope with that?
And it may also be interesting to building on that, you know, where you're locating your density, your height in relation to the natural landforms, whether, I mean, obviously Browns Bay is in kind of, it's a valley surrounded by, and then if you have height down the bottom, substantial height, does that kind of tend to take away from the kind of the natural attributes, or just those philosophical questions almost?
Yeah.
Some of the sort of planning ideas in the 70s, wasn't it? That's where we got the towers and possibly ridges.
Yeah.
Was the idea was the ridges need to be accentuated.
And then,
That's
yeah,
what the towers are,
yeah.
so,
That's on the top of the hill.
Yeah.
But I think, underwater urbanism, that's what I refer to a lot, because that's where we're going, you know. And so that it's not only a water urbanism that you're looking at, it has to also consider the underwater, you know, the nature of our cities, which are going to be underwater, sadly. But that's a really exciting aspect of the project as well. Yeah.
Cool.
It's good.
Any
Very
more
good.
questions?
Thank you.
Just one more,
Sorry
your
for-
big
yeah.
blue drawing down the bottom of the points that you're going to link up. I was a bit mystified with the choices of where you'd link Browns Bay to.
Oh, Browns Bay is going to have 24 hours and frequencies. Sorry, Auckland Transport has two services, like 24 hours and frequency services. The important link that will have both 24 and frequent services. So it's going to have frequent and 24-hour services with Auckland, and we can possibly connect this area with Browns Bay.
Okay, so maybe a difference in the colour or something, because
Oh.
it kind of looks like you're going to
Yeah, it's in a dotted line, so you're looking from far.
We've been talking about that. One is dotted line.
Is it?
The other one, thicker line. It's very hard to figure out from here.
But I guess, Shanmugam, one of the other questions, I don't know all of the bays very well, I should do, but I wonder whether, is Browns Bay, it's that question whether it's an express service out there, or is Browns Bay one, do you dot into each bay, you know, coming through, because there's a number of bays there. That's my
You
question.
can live from Waiheke and work in Albany.
And also Auckland suggested another suggested ferry terminal is Takapuna.
Right,
So even in the future, it might link with here,
Yeah,
something like that.
right.
So yeah, you don't need to try for the Takapuna like this. You can go like this in 10 minutes or
That
so.
also has this kind of idea of a polycentric city. Not everyone's going into this.
No.
From
No.
sort of the centre, maybe you're going to Waiheke work, or maybe
Yeah.
you're going up to Gulf Harbour work, or
yeah.
you know, so it's.
Albany.
For example, if you look at Sydney, if you look at Sydney, the connection with Manly and those areas
Yeah.
is like frequent, you know, like okay. Those sort of transport can encourages the tourism as well in the future, you know. Yeah.
So I definitely think that drawing could get a bit richer and more
Yeah.
expressive of some of those ideas that you
yeah,
just
yeah.
explained that I couldn't sort of.
Yeah, couldn't feel. So yeah, next time we'll change.
Okay, is that
Great.
questions?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.